Today I'll be showing a simple 4-step process for painting anything you want. Most people think watercolor is unpredictable, like it just does whatever it wants. One moment it looks beautiful, the next it looks like a hot mess and you have no idea why. Here's the truth we often forget when we're learning about this art. Watercolor only feels chaotic when you don't have a process. And no, I do not mean a checklist. I mean a way of thinking that works for anything you paint, regardless of your skill level. So today I am going to walk you through the exact steps I take to paint literally anything. Fruit, portraits, landscapes, animals, objects, it really does not matter what it is. I always do it the exact same way. And I will be showing you how this works by painting something really simple, a pretty orange. Okay, let's start with the biggest mistake beginners make and the one step most tutorials do not teach you about. Let's call this step 1, the part everyone ignores, the white step. Before we touch any paint, I want you to notice something. Look at a real orange, not the color, not yet at least, but the light. Where is it the brightest? There's almost always a small area where the light hits so strongly that the color just disappears. That spot is not yellow, it isn't orange, it's paper white. And here's the thing that really makes a difference and we often tend to forget. If you paint over your whites, you cannot get them back. I mean, maybe with a white pen, but you know what I mean. So the first step isn't painting, it's deciding where not to paint. For our orange, imagine a light source coming from the top left. That means the brightest area will sit slightly off center to the upper left curve. At this stage, we're not thinking about shades, details, or textures. As beginners, we're always in such a hurry to make our painting look like something, and that is usually our downfall. So we just lightly sketch the shape of our orange, then mentally lock in that white highlight, or just draw, a really soft rounded shape where we want it. And this step feels really boring. I get it. That's why people skip it and just move on to the first wash. But skipping it is a mistake, because white cannot be an afterthought in watercolor. It is the foundation. And once you know where the light lives, everything else becomes easier. And now we can finally paint. And that is step 2, where we add our lightest colors. Most tutorials will tell you to start with a base color. That advice isn't wrong, but it is kind of incomplete. Because what you're really doing here isn't filling in color. You're establishing the lightest version of your object. And for this orange, that means mixing a very diluted wash, mostly water, just enough pigment to tint the paper. Think really light peach, not orange, okay? With a soft brush, gently lay this wash across the entire orange except the white highlight we planned earlier, okay? Do not forget about that. And again, no shadows yet, no texture, no darks. I feel like I need to keep pointing it out so I don't get ahead of myself. This wash should look almost too light, okay? And at this stage, you're answering only one question. What color is this object in perfect light? So if you go too dark here, everything later becomes harder to balance. Watercolor rewards patience early and punishes the lack of it later on. So now we let this layer dry completely or we make it dry. And this is where most people get impatient, but waiting for paint to dry may just be one of the most important things about successfully painting with watercolors. And then comes step 3, where painting finally makes sense. Our structure phase. Up until now, the orange looks flat. That's normal. This next step is where it starts to feel real. Structure is about form, not darkness. And before we paint, we ask ourselves, is the orange a flat circle or is it a sphere? Because a sphere has curves, and curves catch light differently. For the orange, we're now mixing a slightly stronger orange, still transparent but more saturated than before. We apply this color to the sides of the orange and the lower half, anywhere the form turns away from the light. And now it's time to notice what we're not doing. We're not painting shadows yet. We're not going super dark. We're not adding texture. We're sculpting the orange using midtones. And again, it is so easy for us beginners to jump straight to the shadows. Just loading that brush with more pigment will do it. All it takes is an extra swipe, and that's how paintings end up looking harsh and flat. Structure is the bridge between light and shadow. Skip it and your painting loses depth. Let the form round itself out. Let the brush follow the curve of the orange. And already it's looking three-dimensional, and we still haven't even gotten to the dark yet. That's how you know you're doing it right. So lastly, step 4 is the moment everyone is waiting for, our shadow stage. Now, finally, we earn the shadows. Shadows are not just darker color, they're cooler, richer, and more intentional. For our orange, we just mix a deeper orange with a touch of red or even a hint of blue to neutralize it, or both. Look at our reference again. Where is the light weakest? Where does the form disappear from view? That's where our shadows live. Along the bottom curve, on the side farthest from the light, in the small cast shadow under the orange. So we apply these darker values sparingly. This is not about covering everything, okay? It is about contrast. So notice how powerful the shadows feel now, not because they're dark, but because everything underneath was planned correctly. Each step supports the next. Now we could just add a hint of texture if we want, tiny dots or soft variations. We just need to remember to stop before we overwork it and then step back. So why does this work literally for anything? Here's the secret most artists don't realize. These steps aren't about how we paint, they're about how we see. So every subject, faces, trees, buildings, animals, follows the same visual logic. Where is the brightest light? What color exists in full light? How does the form turn in space? Where does the light disappear? If you answer those 4 questions in order, watercolor stops feeling random. It becomes predictable, controllable, even enjoyable. And you don't need any real talent for this, just patience and the discipline to not skip ahead. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.